Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Birminology on Lettermen Row. I am Jeremy Birmingham, your host. Thank you for watching. If you're checking this out on YouTube, listening, if you're checking this out on iTunes or some other podcast platform. Today's guest is 2021 defensive lineman from Katy, Texas, Tompkins High School, Too-Me-Shay Ahh-Day-Lay-Yay. I got it. Don't worry, I got it. Thank you for taking the time, and appreciate in advance your forgiveness of my pronunciation there. So, Tunmise, I want to introduce you a little bit to the readers here. You're a guy, top 30, top 40 player in the country as a junior prospect in the country, defensive lineman who can play inside or outside, but you want to play outside, correct? That's your goal for the next level?
Ultimately, that's the goal, yes, sir.
Are there schools out there that are talking to you about moving around, or is everybody saying, hey, you could play the 5-tech, you can be whatever you want to be, or how are schools recruiting you when they're approaching you about the future?
For the most part, every school is either talked about being a 4-eye defensive end or a 5-tech defensive end. But a lot of schools are monitoring how my body progresses as I get through, throughout high school and on to the next level, just to, and coaches will keep it real. If they don't believe that I'm going to, be able to stay in that 5 technique mold, then I feel like a lot of coaches have been real with me, but all the coaches so far have been recruiting me as a 5-tech or a 4-eye defensive end, or in the case of one school, as an outside linebacker.
So you're a guy that you've told me in the past that you think that your preference down the road is a program that plays in a 4-3 scheme, because you believe that as a defensive end, you're more impactful in that setup, right?
Yes, sir.
How many of the schools? We cover Ohio State here at Lettermen Row, so you know that we know what the Buckeyes are playing defensively. They're in the 4-down linemen. Are there any schools out there that you're really considering that aren't playing that would require you to sort of make that personal adjustment?
As of right now, the only school that is I'm seriously considering that runs a 3-down front is Oklahoma. That's the only school as of right now that has if you put a bunch of schools in a hat and you told me I picked Oklahoma, I would not be angry if I ended up going there. And they run a 3-down front, so personally, I prefer the 4-down, but I could see myself running a 3-down at Oklahoma.
Wouldn't that be great if that's how you had to decide your commitment? Wouldn't that remove so much pressure?
It would.
Instead of you guys going up on a table and picking a hat, if some random person picked a school from a hat for you?
Exactly.
That would be kind of fun.
It would alleviate a lot of stress. Yes, sir.
How are you handling that stress? What is this? Is this a process that you expected to get to this point, or has it been sort of, I don't want to say uncomfortable, or are you still in the part of it where you're like, hey, you know what, this is kind of cool? Because I know that there's going to come a time when that flip switches.
At first, the first, I'd say, week and a half, it was really surreal. I have a lot of friends that are older than me that told me about how that first week went for them, and just, all the schools, especially when you're as blessed as I am to have a lot of major offers really early on in the recruiting process, and then all those schools to start texting you on September the 1st. It was really surreal, and I felt really humbled and blessed at that time. But as it kind of waned on, and you see, it feels like me, I feel like I'm a really respectful guy. So whenever somebody texts me or tries to talk to me, I always want to get back as soon as I can. And it kind of got, I'm not going to say annoying, but it was nagging, having, coaches blow you up in class and you feeling like you got to text them back. So I feel personally that as a process, as it's gone along more and more in the weeks, it's become more of a nag than, a surreal experience.
Yeah, I think it's sort of interesting. A lot of people complain, people on the outside, fans, people who are on social media, have their frustrations in how big this process has gotten, right? About how kids releasing I'm down to 15 schools, I'm down to 10, I'm down to 5, I'm down to whatever. But ultimately, it's because the rules have changed so much in the last few years that coaches have unadulterated, unfettered access to be able to talk to you all the time. That it doesn't, I mean, aren't you sort of forced to move that process along faster so that you can stop being, I don't want to say bugged all the time, but doesn't it make it easier for you to make the process go faster?
It feels, personally, I feel like once you commit, it feels like a lot of pressure to be lifted off my shoulders, because it's not just the coaches themselves. It's people on social media, people in my community, constantly asking me, my teammates asking me where I'm leaning, my coaches,
the media.
It's reporters. Especially when you're a high profile player per se. It gets kind of taxing on you, and it's hard to keep your head on straight. So I feel like once you just make a decision, everything will alleviate, and I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know that a lot of people really understand how much you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and I'll use Ohio State as an example of that. You made a visit to Ohio State in June. There are 7 or 8 major publications that cover Ohio State recruiting. So that means you have 7 or 8 different people from just the Ohio State recruiting beat trying to message you and talk to you. And then you multiply that by 35, 40 offers that you have. And every day somebody trying to get the scoop. Like, I personally sometimes am amazed that you guys are able to be as under control as you are. So kudos, because I don't think I could do it. I know the 17-year-old me would not have been able to handle that. Moving on. You visited LSU over the weekend of October 26th. The Tigers are obviously a program that has traditionally put a lot of big-time defensive linemen in the NFL and moving forward are right now one of the top teams in the country. Does it seem like you're adding more teams to the mix every week at this point, or is it, or are you actually whittling down that list while making these sort of visits?
Personally, I'm kind of whittling down. I kind of wanted to get a core of 7 or 8 schools that I'm really I could really see myself going to, and then as the process moves along with my family, discuss which 5 official visits I want to take. So these kind of unofficials, throughout the season, and then I'll take some unofficials, after the season. It's kind of like it's nut cutting time. So because I plan on committing in the summertime before my senior year, so these visits. These visits now that I'm taking are, I'll be at Alabama soon. I believe I'm going to Washington. I'll be at Ohio State. I'll be at Oklahoma. It's nut cutting time for me and my family, because, it's not just a taxing experience on me. It is on my family as well. So,
I'm sure they have a lot of people messaging them and
as well. My dad's work, a lot of A&M fans or A&M's alumni are his employees and stuff. So, or his coworkers. So it's hard on him. They'll tell him, oh, your son needs to go to A&M for this, and this, or oh, your son needs to go to Texas for this, and this, and it's taxing on him, and it's taxing on me, it's taxing on my mom, it's taxing on everybody in the family. So we felt like moving forward past my junior year, just take as many visits as I can, start to whittle it down, and go from there in the summertime.
One of the schools that you've been interested in for a while and then visited in June, as we talked about, is Ohio State. What is it about Larry Johnson, the Buckeyes, Ryan Day? What is it that had caught your attention prior to that visit and ultimately has led to this point where you're planning to return for the Penn State game in 3 weeks?
Consistency. Consistency in winning, consistency in development of defensive linemen, academic reprieve, everything. It's kind of the total package for me and my family. And, as when I was younger, when I started, picking up interest in football, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, Ohio State was a team that really stuck out to me because all those things that I mentioned before, just, there's a handful of teams that are consistent, that have been consistently elite for the past, decade. So I believe Ohio State's one of those teams. So I feel like if I'm going to a school, I feel like I got to go to a school that has a chance of competing for a national championship, and I feel like Ohio State is one of those schools.
When you watch football and you see Chase Young getting 4 sacks against Wisconsin, and then flip it over to Sunday and see Joey and Nick Bosa dominating the NFL, knowing all those guys were developed and recruited by and worked with Larry Johnson, from your own personal relationship with him, do you see what makes him that sort of special type of talent developer? And if so, what are the 1 or 2 little nuggets of things that you've gleaned from him already that you've put into your game?
Personally, meeting with him, I learned that he's not a yeller or a screamer type of coach. You know, he's going to tell you what you have to do and what it takes to be elite, and it's your choice from there if you want to be elite. Coach Johnson is just that type of coach that he knows what he wants, and he knows how to bring talent out of athletes. And I feel like personally, I need to be coached by a coach like that knows how to bring the best out of an athlete, especially with his, he has a track record of developing defensive ends. So I feel like personally, he's a great coach for me. During your summer visit, you spent some quality time with Chase Young, correct? Yeah, I did for a little while, yes, sir. Did you see this season coming out of him when you sat down and talked to him in the summer? Because obviously right now you're talking about a player who, after the 4-sack effort against Wisconsin, is now being lauded as a legitimate Heisman Trophy contender, and in a lot of cases, some people saying the favorite. Did you get anything out of that conversation, that developing relationship with Chase, that helps Ohio State down the road, or is it just a personal thing where you're like, I'm going to take this little piece and it's my experience, and it doesn't really matter that he's at Ohio State? No. When I was there, me and my coaches have a term that we use, silent killers. I got that immediately from him. Real humble guy, really quiet. Told me, we discussed, all the schools they had offered me, and he told me about what he likes about Ohio State, what made him choose Ohio State over schools like Alabama and such. But when I was talking to him, you could just tell, like, he had that. There's a killer instinct in his eyes. There's certain football players that you can just look at them and you can tell they're elite just by looking at them. And Chase was one of those guys. I picked up on it right away. Just looking at him, looking in his eyes, I could tell that he was going to be a wrecking ball this season. I don't want to keep too much of your time here, Too-Me-Shay. So moving forward, you have the Ohio State visit coming up when the Buckeyes host Penn State on the 23rd of November. What is it about that visit that is important to you to do, to see, to accomplish, and what makes that visit a success, I guess, for you and your family? For a lot of these schools that I've been looking at, we sit down with the coaches, we talk about scheme, we talk about academics, we do the campus tours, but it's different being there on a game day and understanding the atmosphere. I feel like I play really well when there's a lot of people watching. So I just want to know what that Ohio State atmosphere is like, because it's harped on by a lot of guys of how elite it is, how elite the atmosphere is there, and how big and grand Ohio State football is. So I just want to be there and experience it for myself. Is it one of those things where going into the trip that there's going to be a trade-off probably when you're talking about Ohio State and Penn State, who may very well both be undefeated when that game comes up and both in the top 5 nationally, basically maybe a winner-take-all as far as the college football playoff? Do you going into that, hey, maybe I won't get as much quality time with the coaches, but that doesn't matter because I'm seeing the big picture, or how do you balance that out? Yeah, I'm going in there understanding that I might not have that much quality time with the coaches, but it's because it's such a big game for them, and they understand the nature of the game and its effects on the college football playoffs and stuff like that. But I'm going in there knowing that, but I'm going to have a great time and experience the atmosphere. Well, look, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us on this edition of Birminology on Lettermen Row. Anything moving forward, we're always watching and paying attention, and good luck the rest of the season for you. And we'll see you in Columbus on the 23rd of November.
So I'm going to let you get out of here on that note, all right? So for Lettermen Row, I am Jeremy Birmingham. That is Too-Me-Shay Ahh-Day-Lay-Yay. Huh? Got it? Close? We'll figure it out. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and you know we got Buckeye Q with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Birm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered.